Welcome to this is Ducktales, episode 15. It's called Jungle Duck. You'll never guess why. I'll just tell you, there's a jungle duck that shows up later, so there goes the surprise. Here's a perfectly normal jet, flying as jets do. Here's Scrooge telling Launchpad to make sure he doesn't fly over land because the plane would hit it. He doesn't understand that maps are two-dimensional. He gets all excited because Launchpad's able to fly him. Says he's going to pay Launchpad back. He just sinks down in his seat. You don't see where he goes, but Launchpad keeps smiling. They just fly on course for about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, in the back of the plane, you can see it's designed by a mastermind because they're just seats randomly thrown into the plane. There's one seat in the aisle where the aisle should be. There's a different carpet. Ducktales crotch shot. And then here's the boys asking Miss Beakley why she's crying, and she says she used to watch another kid who was a prince, but he disappeared. And in fact, if he had stayed around, he would have been crowned king on his 25th birthday, which coincidentally would be today. So she starts crying about it. She's all upset. This is my words with friends. And she starts to talk about how the prince used to love to juggle. Then she cries again because she misses him. Scrooge, he turns around. He's like, oh, she's telling that stupid story again. He gets mad. So she just keeps crying. The boys get sick of it, so they all look bored. So Launchpad says they're going to land. They get in the pillow compartment. They put their heads between their legs. They stay like that for a while. You can see Launchpad's asleep in the front. And then the plane just crashes because that's how Launchpad lands. Here you can see the plane's demolished. I don't understand how he still has a job. I mean, I understand as like a comedic plot point, but I don't understand like realistically how he would continue to have a job if he crashes every time he lands. So here's Scrooge scolding him because in the crash, they crashed so hard that it made one of Scrooge's eyes go wonky. You can see it's at the top of his head, the other one. They show up at this little river city. And these eyeballs stare at him, and they jump out, and everyone's freaking out because it's Wolf in a suit. He's dressed like a little captain. Scrooge says they want to get to this treasure. It's like a silver albatross treasure. And then the wolf says that the jungle phantom lives out there, so he's not going to go. So Scrooge decides to choke him with his cane and cuts the fingers off his gloves. So they steal his boat. The boys start playing with cannonballs, and Launchpad, he gets bored. He misses Scrooge from the plane, so he decides to pay him a little visit. Lays down next to him. They accidentally go down the piss river. And then Launchpad gets thrown out. He starts getting randy with this tree. Everyone decides to follow suit. See Miss Beakley's going for it. Then they all start roasting. They never say what they are, but they look like I'm going to guess jungle potatoes. These eyeballs see and smell the potatoes. They want in on it, but then they go wonky. Launchpad does his best impression of the trees. To no one's surprise, it scares everybody. And then he breaks the fourth wall. He tries to scare you. He says, I'll scare you, boo, which is a pun on the word, too. Miss Beakley, she knits them into these giant sacks. She's going to eat them later. She's hungry. She's going to want potatoes. And then this comet or cannonball from the X-Men blasts Miss Beakley into the trees. You don't see her again. All right, this was made before Wikipedia, so some genius opened an encyclopedia, the Volume J for Jungle, to find out what animals would be there, and here they're all included. You got a snake, a crazy bird, a monkey. Miss Beakley wakes up in a tree house that's perfectly made. She's sleeping on a pillow. She decides to adjust it. Oh, no, the pillow's a monkey. Oh, man, look at those eyes. She realizes it's high up. She's just going to shimmy down because she's 60, and she instantly falls. But luckily for her, she's overweight, so they just added a boing sound effect when her butt hits the ground, and all her padding saved her. Then this lion shows up. She turns into Shiva, decides to try and go up the tree. Comet shows up. It's Jungle Duck. It's the one I told you about. There he is. And he and the lion, they fight a normal fight. And then Miss Beakley, she's his slave now. She's got to make some more jungle potatoes. See here, he and the monkeys, they're enjoying it. They're mowing down. So Scrooge is still going to look for the treasure, but they find islanders instead, or junglers, native people. And they're all scared because Launchpad makes a racist joke. Meanwhile, back in the treehouse, Miss Beakley asks Jungle Duck how he keeps from going crazy, being lonely. The monkeys laugh. They know it's coming. She goes, what? I don't get it. And he's like, well, you see, there are these coconuts here. Well, these holes weren't there originally. if you catch my drift. And then he winks at her and he goes, I love these coconuts. I'm going to marry all 3 of them. And then he shows his foot, and he's got this birthmark that just happens to be the same shape, color, and everything is the royal mark. So she knows it's the print she used to watch, so she's excited again. Meanwhile, the natives have the boys and Scrooge. They're going to put him in this bubbling tar pit hole, just naturally heated. They decide to kill Launchpad first for his racist joke. So they cut his shoulder, they poke his crotch, they stab him in the chest, he falls to his death. Here you can see his skull. He melted. And then these natives are scared because these random elephants destroy their village. And they just walk over the tar, like the dinosaurs did. No repercussions. So Launchpad, he comes back to life, and he's in a scene that wouldn't be recreated until Crystal Skulls. The boys, Scrooge, and some monkeys swing around vines. Scrooge gets choked by a snake, and then he turns into a blue tornado. It's like the red tornado, but blue. And then he presents. So then Scrooge asks Jungle Duck where this silver albatross treasure is. In case you haven't guessed, here's Scrooge figuring it out. It is, in fact, a plane that landed on its nose perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. Scrooge he's upset that it's not a treasure, so he decides, in a move that wouldn't be recreated until Batman and Robin years later, to surf on the door of a plane. Everyone thinks it's a great idea, so they go bananas. Scrooge then puts all the animals into slave labor. He gets these elephants, puts chokers on them, makes these monkeys roll around in barrels of oil. One of them's getting cheeky, looking at Launchpad's butt. So then the boys go get tar to hold the plane together. Natives show up. Huey, Dewey, Louie asks for help, but his brothers just take off and leave him there, so he gets eaten. Meanwhile, they get back on the plane. Scrooge sees these lush curtains. Everything's fine. The lights work. Thank God. Scrooge realizes, with curtains and lighting like this, I might as well do Phantom. So he comes out and he sings Angel of Music. Goes over great. Everyone loves it, except for the natives. They get mad. They hate it. They think Phantom's overplayed. They take off. They get back in time. Coronation's going on. They need to crown a new king. Who's going to be? They think it should be Jungle Duck, so they get him in a suit. Meanwhile, this duck that looks like he's from Angels in America, he's wasting away. He decides to crown himself. Jungle Duck has a different opinion, shows up, shows him his birthmark, and then chokes him to death. He takes out a sick duck. So his first act of king is to pick the bugs out of an old lady duck's hair. So obviously the kingdom is going to go into its dark ages, and it's never going to recover. It's financial ruin. Everyone will starve. Jungle Duck. And then inexplicably it ends with a shot of Huey, Dewey, Louie's butt.